Smug bullshit aside, there is a serious point here, and it's that all of the logic in the world doesn't prevent the temporary loss of reasoning associated with most rage killings. This guy is said to have shot his brother in the face over an argument about a cheeseburger. Yeah, laugh it up. Oh, those stupid white poor people. If you weren't so stupid and poor. He says he doesn't remember what happened. And he probably really doesn't, right? Honestly. When you go into these trances, you're really not in control of yourself. So given that, you can put child locks on it, you can put it in a safe, you can hide it where nobody else knows where it is. It doesn't matter, okay? The issue is not the need to take precautions. It's not about safety, okay? The issue is the reality that human beings are dumb apes. Even the rich ones are dumb apes, okay? And we're driven by hormones. We're not robots. We're not rational entities, okay? We're not Homo economicus. We're not driven by logic. No amount of precautions will stop somebody from going into a rage, okay? Losing their ability to reason and shooting someone in the face. Now, yeah, it's true that he could have grabbed a butcher knife, okay? Right. But it's not particularly relevant. The reality is that the only way to really address gun violence, because of the way that humans are, because of our chemistry, because of our nature, is to ban them altogether. It's really unfortunate that you have that constitutional amendment down there. We don't have anything of the sort in our Constitution. And we're really better off for it. This is the same argument that I've thrown this argument around all over the place. For example, I do not think that police officers should have guns. Because I don't think that a lot of the police shootings that we see, I don't think it's a consequence of accidents. I don't think it's a consequence of bad training. I mean, although a lot of it is partially catalyzed by racial profiling, meaning that it's intentional. But I like it's not a bad apples issue. It's not a not enough training issue. It's a fact that police officers are humans. Okay. And no matter how much training you put a human through, that doesn't change the fact that they're humans. Okay? And humans are not computers. Humans cannot be trained like that. In fact, you'd be better off training a dog like that. Okay? Because dogs have better sensory organs and they have less. They seem to have a better ability to shut down emotional responses. Okay? Humans can't do that. And what you see in a lot of these shootings is that the cop is acting on reflex. Okay? Or the cop is going into a position of insanity. And in situation after situation, the cop is actually really not in control of what they're doing. Now, that's not always true. There's plenty of situations where you have the cops are doing things that are premeditated, or I've seen a lot of situations where it's just almost sadistic, right? But broadly speaking, most circumstances, there is no solution. Okay? It's just a circumstance. You can take the best cop, the cop that's won all the medals, all the community, policing awards. You put that cop in that situation, and they're going to do the same thing. Because it's just human. It's the fact that they're not perfect, right? I don't want to use the term human nature. It's a loaded term, and it's never used the way that I'm trying to use it, right? So there's only two solutions, right? If you want to allow cops to have guns for whatever reason, then you need to keep them out of that situation, right? So don't send cops into situations where they might use guns. So why have cops then, right? The only other solution is to take the guns away from the cops. And I'm serious. I know that sounds like a crazy Canadian thing, right? You naive Canadians, you don't have any guns up there. Well, we don't have any guns up here, right? Maybe you might want to take note of that. But regardless, these situations are going to keep happening, okay? And all of the activism, everything you're arguing for, everything you're pushing for, none of it's going to make the damnedest bit of difference. Because at the end of the day, you are still giving a monkey a gun and expecting them to make decisions faster than their brains can make, at least consciously. When we get to these situations, when we go into fight or flight, we're not consciously making decisions because we can't think that fast. What takes over is hormones. And that's what decides. We become, to an extent, we do actually become computers in that sense, okay? But we're not in charge of our own programming. It's the hormones that determine what happens. And you can make the same arguments in other situations as well. And it all comes out very damning. But this is something that we understand now, okay? Our legal system was built in a time where we didn't understand this. We do understand this today, okay? And we really need to modify our legal system to realize that all of these concepts about mens rea are naive. Huge amounts of crime are actually done at a subconscious level. And it's it's hard to make the argument that means they're not guilty, right? It's better to make the argument that there are things that can be done that are preventative so that we don't have to argue whether they're guilty or not, right? But I mean, that's, you know, when they had the Sanders-Clinton debates about guns, I mostly came down on Sanders' side because he was, you know, legally technically correct. But a lot of these debates are really outside of the realm of meaningful discourse. If you want to tell me that guns don't kill people, people kill people, okay, I don't disagree, but it's not meaningful, right? It's all based on an incorrect understanding of how humans react to situations. It's all based on an incorrect understanding of how humans reason through situations. And when you bring in modern concepts, you know, of how we react and how we think, it's hard to come up with a way to justify a constitution that says that people have the right to have a gun. The most law-abiding citizens that are totally rational, okay, will all have these situations. And so it's actually an issue of, again, unpredictability and prevention. But you'll note something about my argument that's maybe a little different than the one that you're hearing from a lot of people. Because I'm arguing for two things at the same time. Okay? I'm arguing that they should take they should take guns away from cops, and that they should take guns away from civilians. Both of them. So that neither civilians nor cops have guns. And I think that that's the way to maintain the spirit of your amendment while acknowledging the pressing conclusions of what modern science says about how humans react in stressful environments.